Hiya guys, welcome back. Today we're just cutting the final plates for the West diet feeder. Unfortunately, the plasma cutter is currently tied up on another job, and with the layout of the workshop as it is, it's something we want to change because it's at the back of the workshop the plasma cutter is currently, and it means that when we've got jobs on like this, we want to do a quick job, and we've already got jobs in the workshop, it stops us from actually managing to get the plates over to the plasma cutter to get them cut, because the other work's in the way. So we're using our trusty Milwaukee saw, extremely good bit of equipment, and what I'll do is I'll just turn the camera around, and I'll show you the saw, and we'll start cutting, and I'll give you a bit of a review on it. So this is the saw in question. It's the Milwaukee Fuel. What number is it? I've never actually looked, to be honest with you. It's the M18 FMC S66. Takes the carbide tipped blades. Tungsten carbide tipped blades. These set you back around 50 to 60 quid, depending on where you purchasing them from. They're genuine Milwaukee blades, and they're sold as a metal aluminium uni-strut steel cutting blade. The saw has a chip guard. You undo this, the guard comes off, and that collects all the chips from cutting. A little bit difficult to get that on and off. I think Milwaukee could come up with a slightly better design. Brilliant when it's closed. It never falls off or comes loose or anything like that. However, they are quite difficult once they're full to actually get off the front. There's a little tab at the front, like a little bar, and it slots in behind the bar. To get them off that, it's a little bit difficult. You've definitely got to use the 12 amp hour batteries in these. If Milwaukee bring out a bigger battery, I'll put a bigger battery in it, because they are very, very battery thirsty on the 5 amp hours especially. I put them in it and they don't last 5 minutes in it. So deadman switch and switch, pretty self-explanatory. And then there's a little light on the top, which is quite nice. What that light does is if you're starting to overload the machine, it glows, just for you to know that you've overloading the saw. So I've got today 6mm plate, and I'm going to cut it right down the full length, which is 8 foot. So unfortunately, I've got nobody else here to hold the camera for me today, and I haven't as yet got a tripod to hold it. So I'm going to actually have to put you off camera, cut it, and then come back, unless I can prop it up somewhere that works for you to see. So yeah, thank you for listening there, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes. So I stopped the camera and I've come back to you. I've realised now that actually I can film it off the saw. I've marked the steel every inch very roughly, but I have marked it, and we're going to cut that now as a guide of the speed in which this saw is capable of cutting 6mm. This isn't a brand new blade. This blade has done a bit of cutting already, so you could get slightly faster on a new blade. However, this is a good indication of what a saw will do through its lifetime. Speed. I'm not trying to fool anyone with a new blade or anything. So let's try and cut this and see how we get on. So earmuffs are most definitely needed on this job. It is quite a noisy old saw, to be fair. However, So I cut the tape there for a moment, just on purpose, because I just needed to reposition the sheet on the pallet. I'm just cutting this on the forklift, actually. So, yeah, that's the only thing you have to be careful of with those saws, is when you get to the very end, they do like to pinch. So I just had to reposition to make sure it didn't do that. And yeah, that is the kind of speed in which you can expect to get out of a Milwaukee saw. They're pretty quick, and they do a lovely, lovely, crisp, clean edge. It's almost like a razor blade both sides. It's a real sharp 90-degree edge on it. So hardly any cleanup before you need to weld. Just take the arris off both sides. Much straighter than a grinder. Is it going to replace your plasma cutter? Probably not. But for a quick on-site job, they're absolutely brilliant. So yeah, next job will be to get that in the ring roller and to roll it to shape. So then, we're over at the ring roller. This is a machine that we've restored. It came out of a concrete works where they used it for rolling the sheets for the concrete plant. They used it for repairing the lorries and such like. It had been sat outside for a good 25 years, so the gentleman that ran it told me. The gentleman that owned it had retired, he'd made his money, and he was now living out in Spain. So this was sat outside, been looking for one for quite a while, and they were like 5-6 grand, and we just don't have the work as a one-man band to wob 6-7 grand on a machine like this. So managed to pick this up for, from memory, I think it was 1,500 quid. And then it cost me another £1,000 to get it home on an Arctic lorry. So we then stripped it down completely, painted it all. We've done a few bushes on it here and there, but nothing major. To be fair, all the workings of it was pretty spot on. However, it wasn't the prettiest. So yeah, so we'll fire it up, fire the generator up. It's a 3-phase machine, so unfortunately we haven't got 3-phase in the workshop off the grid, so we're going to have to fire up the generator. So I'll fire that up, and then we'll put the plate in that we've just cut through it, and you can see how it works. So as you can see, we've got the plate in the holder, giving it a little bit of support there. So yeah, as you can see, probably a little bit off camera there. Put the sheet in. I'm just going to adjust the holder up now, and then we're going to send the sheet through and cut it off the side we want. I always cut myself up a little template, so we've got to aim for this template. wind these down now periodically to the desired roll. We creep up on it slowly. Just check it with our gauge. Always checking both sides of the sheet, because this could it can come out basically as a spiral if one is tighter than the other. So just checking both sides. This is looking at the moment pretty good. We've got a little chicken bar. can see, we've gone slightly over. Reason being is when these come out of the roller, they usually spring open slightly. So that's all pretty well done. So we back off the roller tension, put it in automatic feed, and we will pull it off the roller. So off camera, I've managed to lift the sheet up over the side. Did that off camera because I didn't want you to see me having a hernia. So we've got in top. We're on top of the diet feeder now. This is for those of you that don't know, this is a mixer wagon that mixes animal feeds, usually used by the dairy industry, but the beef industry use it as well for mixing the feed, and then it pushes it out the side down there through a chute, normally into feed passages. So the plan is now to slide the sheet around the centre auger. We've removed the paddles. This normally has some box section paddles in it. So we're going to roll it around inside, and then we've got to move a few tools because there's a few tools underneath the auger there. You can just about see the welding lance there. Currently, we've actually welded everything on this up until now with a Artec 181 welder. The reason being, let me just turn you around so I can see you. The reason being is EES was founded on an Artec welder. We purchased a 250 Pro MIG back in the day, approximately 11 years ago. And I used to chuck that in the back of my Ford Fiesta car and put the gas bottle in the boot. And we used to go around welding for people, doing little odd jobs. Obviously, the business has grown since then. As you can see in the background, we've still got a lot of mess going on, and we're hoping to get that better over time. It's a bit of a fine balance between working, earning money, and spending time in here actually renovating the premises and getting the premises tidy and wiring electrics in nicely and all these other fundamentals that go on with owning your own business. So as you can see, we've got the sheet over the top. The next job is to push it slightly further around this auger, and the plan is for it to drop down on top of the sheets we've already welded in. We'll then rejig the tools, slide this right to the very front, and then we can put this on the front edge. These two sheets are 5mm. This one's actually a 6mm sheet. It's slightly thicker, but we're hoping that with it being down there, that's where the machine gets the most work. So having a thicker sheet is actually advantageous down there. because all the mix is getting pushed to the front. The blend is always pushed to the front, and as it's coming out through the door, which is currently closed, that's going to put pressure on that front edge more than the rear, and having the thicker sheet is somewhat advantageous. And also, it's a offcut sheet, and that we had a half sheet, so we're trying to save the customer a little bit of money, not having to buy a full sheet. So there we are. I'll rejoin you once we've got this sheet into place. So a few hours have passed since we did the last video, but we're now almost fully welded. As you can see down there, the 181 is just tucked down underneath the auger. I've got the gas bottle lying flat in the bottom. So it's a proper site work job. It's not a bench test of a 181 Artec welder. And to be fair to it, it has absolutely been phenomenal. For 181 amps, welding on 5mm sheet, so 2 5mm sheets together, I'm really pretty impressed, to be fair. The quality of weld that you're able to get off it in position is unbelievable. You know, we can all do a nice weld sat on the bench, but when you get a welder able to do nice pretty welds in a sight position when you're crawled up underneath the auger and you're not in the best of positions yourself and you're not overly comfy, it really is quite impressive. So the sheet we were looking at earlier on, getting bent, trying to get this into focus is not the easiest. It's down the bottom there, and that's now in place. So the next job we've got to do is warm up this edge across here and just tap it back into place like we've started doing here. And the reason you've got that is an inherent problem with sheet rollers is they don't roll the first few inches either side of the sheet, because if you think about it, that piece never gets sandwiched in the center roller, because as it comes through, there's no roller either side to hold it on either edge of the sheet. What we'll do is I'll just cut the video and we'll go down to the roller and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. So we're back at the roller. Behind this is the top roller, the movable roller, and behind these two are the fixed rollers. And the sheet comes through the centre. So as the sheet comes to the end of the sheet, it comes to the point where it's coming round the rolling roller, the roller that actually puts the pressure on. And what in effect has happened is it's already come off this roller. So as it comes out this side, there's no pressure put on. It just lifts the sheet out between the two rollers. Because the gap between the two rollers is actually wider than the sheet. It's just the fact that in the center it is lower than the top of the sheet. So at no point in the roll is the actual gap less than the sheet value, otherwise it wouldn't actually go through. It's just the fact that it's lower in the center. So the two ends of the sheet, what you end up having is a nice curve, and then for half this distance on either side, and this is just about a foot. So for the first 6 inches, you don't get a bend, and for the first 6 inches that side, you don't get a bend. Therefore, like we said when we were in the feeder wagon a moment ago, we just got to tap it, warm it up, and just tap it back ever so slightly to get that to sit tidily in there. What we could have done, we could have put it in the press brake, and not the press brake. We haven't got a press brake, unfortunately, but we've got a finger bender. We could have put it in the box pan folder, the finger bender, and we could have just bent it ever so slightly for the first 6 inches. But for this job, there was no need. So there we are. That's just explains that for you. And there we are. That almost wraps that job up. Got a little bit of welding on the side here to do, down the side of the machine. And that's about it. Get some paint on it and send it back to the customer. We do have to obviously put the auger back in, but that we'll do that once we've painted the outside. And there we go. So thank you for listening. Hopefully next time we come back, we'll have done a bit more work to the workshop and things will be a little bit tidier in here. And on to the next one. So thank you very much for listening.